Have you noticed that Aerobar setups are getting more and more busy with more and more things up front? Let's break down this setup and talk about why you might want to add more stuff to your Aerobars. Hey everybody, Nick from TriRig here. At TriRig, we're always looking at this sport from a functional, technological perspective, both looking at current trends of how athletes are using their gear, as well as what might be on that distant horizon and potentially coming next. Sometimes a trend is just a fad and headed for the dustbin of history. Sometimes new ideas offer a huge benefit and can cause a revolution in how we approach our sport. Today, we're looking specifically at front-end hydration and why these ever more crowded Aerobars are such a popular choice right now. The particular bike we're looking at today has been built up with our Alpha 1 Aerobars, our BTA elevator, our multi-bottle extender rail, our 3-in-1 polymount computer mounting system, and our Kappa and Kappa saddle carbon bottle cages. So what's the point here? Are we just trying to fit as many TriRig logos on the bike as possible? Well, no, not really. If you take a look at the top riders from Ironman Hawaii or any other pro race, you're going to see some pretty similar setups. Pros are adding multiple bottles between the arms, and those bottles are tending to come up and in some cases backwards from the more traditional spot of burying them right between the rider's arms. So what's going on with that? Well, the crowded front end serves a couple of important purposes. First, riders are finding huge aerodynamic advantages by filling as much space under the torso as possible. 10 years ago, we discovered that filling the space between the arms could be helpful, and the BTA bottles started to become a popular choice. More recently, with the benefit of modern aero testing and the evolution of positions coming up and forward, we've found that filling even more of that space comes with even more aero benefit. The less of a cavity you create behind your hands and below your torso, the easier the time the wind has slipping over your body and the less drag you'll be fighting as you ride down the road. The second benefit of multiple bottles is that you have multiple bottles. It turns out that weight is a couple orders of magnitude less important than aero drag, and that even a tiny improvement to aerodynamics can have a greater effect on race times than a massive increase in weight. In the case of bottles, it's not even remotely close. Even if adding that second bottle to your bars was just aerodynamically neutral, it still ends up being a savings because it prevents you from coming out of aero to get that on-course bottle. Just the act of sitting up, potentially slowing down a bit, sticking out your hand, grabbing that aid station bottle, finding a spot for it on your bike, and then finally getting back into aero. Doing that process just once disrupts the airflow around your body in a significant way, and it may take the wind quite some time to settle back down again. We see this all the time in wind tunnel testing. If a rider comes up to fiddle with something in the tunnel and then they get back down into aero, it can take 20 to 30 seconds before the sensors in the tunnel show a steady state of drag again. Avoiding even one aid station is more beneficial than reducing the weight of your bike by 10 to 15 pounds, and that's not an exaggeration. So the 1 or 2 pounds of fluid in that bottle is something you can completely ignore in terms of your race prep calculus. Okay, so multiple bottles are great, but how do we rig them? Well, right now there is only one off-the-shelf solution to easily adjust the stack, tilt, fore-aft position, and the number of bottles on your Aerobars. And that's the TriRig setup we've been looking at. The heart of this setup is our brand new BTA elevator. This is the only product on the market with stack and tilt adjustment for BTA bottles, borrowing some of the concepts from our award-winning Alpha 1 Aerobars for a rock-solid setup with a massive range of adjustment. On the top of the BTA elevator, we put our multi-bottle extender rail. Again, the first product of its kind, but a relatively simple one. You mount this rail anywhere you mount a standard bottle, and then it just gives you a bunch of bottle mounting points all over. And crucially, those mounting points are on the top and bottom of the rail, giving you a huge range of options in terms of what your front end looks like. Some athletes prefer 2 bottles front to back. Others ride with 1 bottle above and 1 bottle below, which can be really nice, especially if it sort of follows the curve of your torso. The ability to adjust the fore-aft positioning of the bottles, their height, and their angle is the key to getting in the right spot for your particular position. The TriRig BTA elevator plus our multi-bottle extender rail is the only product which offers total granular adjustability of all of these aspects. And we love pairing it with our Kappa and Kappa saddle cages. Critically, we love using the Kappa saddle cages for bottles mounted to the bottom of the rail. This puts the retention tabs on the underside of the bottle, making it easier to get bottles in and out, and it also means that gravity works to keep the bottle in the cage rather than working to pull them out of the cage. Those same Kappa saddle cages are also really handy in behind the saddle setups, which is how they got their name. So is this the kind of setup you're already using on your race bike, or have you been waiting to see whether it was right for you? Until now, most pros have set these things up with really janky DIY setups, things strapped or welded together, because there was no easy way to do it. But now there is, and it's in stock and ready to ship. Check out all our hydration products at tryrig.com and tell us in the comments how you plan to set up your next rig. That's going to be all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.